Hi, welcome back to Free for All Friday with Brian Fisher on Focal Point, A for Thought, the home of muscular Christianity on Conservative Talk Radio. Free for All Friday, talk about anything that's been in the news this week, so it's kind of open season. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Got to be about something that's been in the news this past week, and I don't want to I don't want to indulge in conspiracy theories. I don't want to talk about the Illuminati. I don't want to talk about other conspiracy theories. So let's keep it to things that have been in the news over the past week. But it's other than that, it's a free-for-all. 888-589-8840, 888-589-8840. Now, clip number 2, Rob. This is Jimmy Fallon got hold in some way. Maybe he's working with the NSA on this. But he got hold of the phone conversation between Barack Obama and Vladimir Putin about his invasion of Crimea. And here, according to Jimmy Fallon, is how that conversation went.
Look, we got to talk about the situation in Ukraine. I mean, you invaded Crimea.
No. You got it backwards, my friend. Haven't you heard the 80s comedian Yakov Smirnoff? Everything in Russia is opposite. So technically, Crimea invade us.
Look, don't you see what you're doing, though? You're forcing people to accept something that the majority of them don't even want.
Yes, in Russia we have word for this. Obamacare.
Ouch.
All right, so that is Putin handing Obama's hat to him. By the way, Putin has got designs on Central and South America. Let me grab that story if I can, but it's about Putin's plans to build bases like in Cuba. Let me grab that story, but he's definitely making a move. He is talking about building a base in Cuba, for instance. You've got Iran moving into South America, building up its bases. Here's the story from hotair.com. Vladimir Putin has begun sending Navy ships and long-range bombers to the region, that is Latin America, for the first time in years. Russia's defense minister says the country is planning bases in Cuba. And shortly after we left, the team that I was on that went to Cuba, shortly after we left, a day or two later, there was a Russian warship docking in the same harbor that we had viewed as we went to Havana in Cuba. The country, this is Russia's defense minister, says the country is planning bases in Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. General James Kelly, commander of the U.S. Southern Command, said that there has been a noticeable uptick in Russian power projection and security force personnel in Latin America. Now, remember the Monroe Doctrine. This goes back to James Monroe, and Barack Obama told the entire world the Monroe Doctrine is over. It's kaput. It's done. We're all done with the Monroe Doctrine. No more Monroe Doctrine. Now, the whole point of the Monroe Doctrine is it was the United States saying to every foreign power, you stay out of our hemisphere. That if you try to come and set up some kind of a military or political presence in our hemisphere, Latin America, South America, you were going to have to deal with us. Barack Obama said those days are over. We got no problem. Bring it on. You come on in. And so so Putin is taking Barack Obama at his word. Military bases, Russian military bases in Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. And it goes back to something that we've often observed, that weakness invites aggression. Weakness does not promote peace. Weakness promotes war. That's why Reagan's mantra, his slogan, was peace through strength. The way you maintain peace is make it unthinkable for your enemies to encroach on your territory. Our president does not believe that, and now we are paying a price. This is going to be a severe threat to our national security. Kelly said this: it's been over 3 decades since we last saw this type of high-profile Russian military presence. Well, what does that mean? 3 decades. Who does that take you back to? To Ronald Reagan. So it takes us back to the last time that you've seen this kind of buildup is since the days of Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan spooked them. Remember, Iran gave up their 440 hostages the day that he was sworn in. because they knew that Ronald Reagan would not hesitate to use American military strength on behalf of American citizens. They knew they could string Carter along and play him for a total joke and a buffoon and a clown, and they did. But Reagan, they knew, was cut from a different bolt of cloth. And so they haven't dared to do this in the last 3 decades. Now that Barack Obama's in charge, his weakness is inviting Russian aggression. According to Senator Tim Kaine, who is a Democrat from Virginia, there are 10 countries in Latin America that currently have no U.S. ambassador. So Barack Obama is not even sending ambassadors to these Latin American countries, so they are absolutely, completely ripe for the picking. Now, let's go back to the plane just for a second. Clip number 10, you might have heard about this already, but I wanted to play it for you. I had it in the queue yesterday. I didn't get to it, about this Malaysian plane. And, you know, CNN has been hawking this thing, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and their ratings have gone up. So they're going to ride this pony till it dies of thirst. And because there's nothing to report, there's no new developments, nobody knows where this thing is, nobody has any hard information, then it's all speculation and educated guesswork. And this is how low CNN has sunk. Clip 10, Don Lemon, he's an anchor at CNN. He's open homosexual, by the way, made a big deal of coming out of the closet, but he's an anchor at CNN and listen to the question he poses to his panel, and he's serious about this. Let's listen.
What if it was hijacking or terrorism or mechanical failure or pilot error? But what if it was something fully that we don't really understand? A lot of people have been asking about black holes and on and on and on and all of these conspiracy theories. Let's look at this. Noah says, what else can you think about? Black hole, Bermuda Triangle. And then Deji says, just like the movie Lost. And of course, they're also referencing the Twilight Zone, which has a very similar plot. That's what people are saying. I know it's preposterous, but is it preposterous, you think, Mary?
Well, it is. A black hole is about, a small black hole would suck in our entire universe, so we know it's not that. Bermuda Triangle is often weather, and Lost is a TV show. So
right.
I think I always like things for which there's data, history, crunch the numbers. So for me, those aren't there, but I think it's wonderful that the whole world is trying to help with their theories.
Including you, Don Lemon. Hey, could a black hole? That sounds preposterous to me. Could a black hole? Could this plane have been swallowed by a black hole? Well, no, Don. Small black hole would swallow up our entire universe, so we're probably not going to go there, but thanks for your suggestion. That's the level to which CNN has sunk. Now, going to a different direction, this is a sober guy, Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney. This guy, 35 years in the Air Force. This guy knows what he's talking about, and he says, look, if you look at Lignet, this is a site that's run by former CIA professionals. And he says he even has a source at Boeing that is telling him that this plane, its last location was in Pakistan. This is Boeing saying this. These are the people that made the plane. This is Lignet, former CIA operative, saying last known destination or location was in Pakistan. And McInerney says, look, they've got a number of runways in Pakistan that are long enough for this plane to land. Here he is talking to Sean Hannity 2 nights ago.
There now appears to be evidence that there was a direct course through India flying in a shadow of a Singapore Flight 68. That hasn't been verified. The only thing that I have seen that is starting to become verified is the Lignet report that from Boeing saying that they believe the airplane was in Pakistan, which I talked about on Friday.
General, I've known you a long time. I know you too well to know that you're not just making this up. This isn't something you've concocted. You've spoken to a number of people, am I correct?
Yes, but that's all I want to say, Sean, please.
All right, no, fair enough. Now, and you believe this plane is intact and that this plane landed?
I do.
What about the passengers of this plane? Do you know anything about that?
I don't know anything about their status. What I do know is the most sensors that we have in the world are in that region. They're not in the south of the Indian Ocean. We've got a lot of sensors up there, so we have a lot of capabilities. And I believe with Rolls-Royce and with Boeing, as well as the U.S. government, we know a lot more than that is coming out I suspect we may, in the next 24 to 48 hours, start hearing from either the Malaysian government or the Pakistani government. If the Pakistani government doesn't talk soon, they're going to be complicit in this.
So that's Lieutenant General Thomas McInerney. This guy is a sober guy, recipient of the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Bronze Star, the Air Medal with 17 Oak Leaf Clusters, Distinguished Service Medal, and other honors. 35 years as a pilot, commander, and strategic planner in the U.S. Air Force. And he said, look, you know, the U.S. Navy halted their search in the Indian Ocean. They stopped looking for this plane in the Indian Ocean. There's probably a reason for that. The Israeli Defense Forces have amped up their missile protection security. They're on high alert. They must know something that's prompted them to do this. And he says, look, this LIGNET, this is the Langley Intelligence Group Network. It's Global Intelligence and Forecasting, former CIA officers. And they reported that the Malaysian government is investigating the possibility that the Malaysian air flight avoided radar detection and landed in Pakistan. Remember, the suicide theory is probably out because they would have taken it straight into the ocean. If you're on a suicide mission, you don't take evasive tactics in midair, and this plane apparently was looking to avoid radar detection. Even the Malaysian government now, LIGNET's thinking this would happen, that the plane landed in Pakistan near the Afghanistan border, and a LIGNET analyst, this is a former CIA guy now, received information from a source at Boeing that the company believes the plane did land in Pakistan. Now remember, you had these signals coming from these Rolls-Royce engines, and the last ping from these Rolls-Royce engines was about 7 hours after takeoff in Malaysia. That would enable it to get to one of 3 bases in Taliban-controlled areas of western Pakistan that could handle the jet. So McInerney says, look, it's a genuine possibility that this plane could be hidden inside a hangar inside the country of Pakistan. Inside a hangar, nobody's going to see it on satellite. Focal Point and AFR Talk. We'll be back with your calls, 888-589-8840. Stay with us.